You are holding a small, glowing rectangle. A stranger appears on it, someone you have never met and never will. And in less than a second, without choosing to, your brain has already measured you against them. Their body, their house, their easy, golden afternoon. You did not ask for this comparison. It simply happened, the way breathing happens. Here is the strange part. That silent reflex pulling your eyes towards strangers is older than money, older than cities, older than language itself. It was never built to make you feel small. It was built to keep you alive. Think about how often it happens. You see someone richer, calmer, more loved, and something in your chest tightens before you can stop it. You compare your worst days to their best moments. You measure your ordinary life against the polished surface of people you do not know, and then you blame yourself for being shallow, or insecure, or weak. But what if this was never a flaw in you? What if comparing yourself to strangers is one of the most ancient and precise instincts your species ever developed? To understand why you cannot stop, you have to go back, long before screens, long before crowds, to a time when knowing exactly where you stood was the difference between surviving and disappearing. Picture your distant ancestor. They live in a small group, maybe 30 or 40 people. They will know almost every face they ever see for their entire life. In that world, your survival did not depend only on how strong you were. It depended on your position. Who got fed first when food was scarce? Who was protected when danger came? Who was chosen as a partner, and who was left behind? Rank was not vanity. Rank was life and death. So your ancestors developed a constant, quiet awareness of where they fit. They watched who was rising and who was falling. They noticed who had more, who had less, who was admired, who was ignored. The brain that did this carefully survived. The brain that ignored it did not. And that watchful brain is the one you inherited. This is where a researcher named Leon Festinger enters the story. In 1954, he proposed something deceptively simple. He called it social comparison theory. His insight was this: you have no built-in ruler for your own worth. There is no internal gauge that tells you, in absolute terms, whether you are doing well or badly. So how do you find out? You look around. You measure yourself against other people, because they are the only reference point you have. Festinger showed that this is automatic and constant. You are not being petty when you compare. You are doing exactly what the human mind evolved to do. The comparison is how you answer a question your brain never stops asking. Am I safe in this group, or am I slipping? But knowing where you stand is only half the story. The other half lives in your body. And this is where it gets darker. Consider the work of biologist Robert Sapolsky, who spent decades studying baboons. Baboons live in strict social hierarchies, and Sapolsky measured what status did to them, not just their behavior, but their blood. He found that an animal's rank changed its stress hormones, its health, even how long it lived. Position was not just a social fact, it was written into the body itself. Now here is the uncomfortable truth. You carry the same machinery. When you sense yourself falling behind, your body does not treat it as a passing thought. It treats it as a threat. Your stress system responds to a lost comparison, the way it once responded to a real loss of standing in the tribe. Your ancestors needed that alarm. You inherited it. And it still fires, even when the threat is only a photograph. So far, this paints a clear picture. Comparison is ancient. It is automatic. It is wired into your stress response. For most of human history, it worked beautifully. But something changed, and almost nobody noticed when it happened. To see it, look at the work of anthropologist Robin Dunbar. He found that the human brain seems built to track around 150 stable relationships. 150. That is roughly the size of the social world your mind was designed for. Within that world, comparison made sense. You could actually become the best hunter in your group, or the most respected elder, or the most trusted friend. The ladder had a top, and you could reach it. The instinct had an ending. Now look at what you do every single day. You wake up and you open a screen. And through that screen pour not 30 faces, not 150, but millions. Millions of strangers, each showing you only their finest moment. The richest person you can imagine, the most beautiful, the most successful, the happiest-looking couple. Your ancient comparison instinct, built for a village, switches on exactly as it always did. But now it cannot find the top of the ladder. There is always someone richer, someone calmer, someone further ahead. The instinct keeps searching for a finish line that no longer exists. This is the counterintuitive heart of it. You do not feel inadequate because something is wrong with you. You feel inadequate because a perfect ancient instinct has been dropped into a world it was never designed to survive. There is one more piece that makes this almost impossible to escape. Researchers studying happiness have found something strange about how satisfied people feel with their lives. It often depends less on how much they actually have, and more on how much they have compared to those around them. Give someone a bigger house, and they may feel content until they notice a bigger house next door. The mind keeps adjusting the standard upward, chasing a line that moves every time you reach it. Your sense of well-being is not anchored to your real conditions. It is anchored to the comparison. And when the people around you become an endless feed of strangers showing only their peaks, that standard rises forever and never lets you rest. And the cost is quiet but constant. Your ancestors compared themselves to people they would meet again and again, people whose lives they fully understood. You compare yourself to edited fragments of strangers, mistaking a highlight for a whole life. You measure your private struggles against their public performances. And because the ladder never ends, the comparison never resolves. There is no moment of arriving. So the unease lingers in the background of your day, a low hum of not enough. You scroll to feel connected, and you stand up feeling smaller. You reach for the rectangle again, hoping this time it will quiet the feeling. But the instinct that once told your ancestors exactly where they stood now only tells you that you are endlessly, hopelessly behind. So what do you do with an instinct you cannot switch off? You cannot delete it. It is as much a part of you as hunger or fear, but you can understand what it actually is. The next time your chest tightens at a stranger on a screen, you can recognize the feeling for what it really is, not the truth about your worth. Just an ancient alarm, built for a village of 30, firing in a world of millions. It is not measuring your life. It is measuring a shadow against a fragment on a ladder with no top. Your ancestors compared to survive. They needed to know their place among people they loved and feared and depended on. You inherited their watchful eyes. But you are no longer in their village. The faces on your screen are not your tribe. They cannot feed you, protect you, or leave you behind. They are strangers, and they always will be. The instinct is real. The threat is not. And somewhere underneath the comparison, quietly waiting, is the only ruler that was ever truly yours.